Hey guys, in the Bible it says to consider the ant. So let's consider it for just a moment. Thing is tiny for the most part. I mean, there's some big ants out there. There really are. We've even had a sermon before about the cow ant. But it's notable that this tiny little creature has so many things to remember about it. I want to remember one particular thing about the ant today as we go out throughout this week, and that is the ant is resilient. The ant is resilient. Not just the cow ant, but the regular ant is resilient. There have been times in my yard I get so frustrated. I'll put out stuff for ants and fire ants and things like that. And for the most part, it takes care of them. It really does. But it still leaves a dirt mound where these ants have created such a mound on the ground that, man, you're like, man, if I run this lawnmower over it, I'm going to dull these blades as such. But for the most part, I run over them and destroy them. But you know what? It doesn't deter them. They're not created to be deterred by that. What they do is they go to work. They go back to work. They go find what they need to rebuild, and they rebuild. Christian, shouldn't we be like the ant? We should consider a lot of its ways, that they store up for winter, that they have food, that they work together, that they build bridges together, that they do all that. There's tons and tons of things for us to remember about the ant. But this one particular issue is a big deal. It's a big deal that something can come along and completely destroy what's going on right there for you, your family, for your church, for your community, everything. Just what in the world is happening here? But resiliency, we see it in our nation. We see it in our nation. We see things falling apart. We see not just prices. Prices are outrageous, but that's because we keep spending money that's not there. And it's going to keep going. We keep inflating the money supply, so therefore inflation occurs. Somehow people don't want to talk about that particular thing, but there are other things. There are family issues. There are addiction issues. There are social media issues. There are all sorts of things that are bogging us down. But here's the thing. If we're resilient like the ant, that no matter what we see around us doesn't matter. It's what the Word tells us. And that is, consider the ant. The ant's resilient, so shouldn't we be resilient? The ant's a hard worker. Shouldn't we be a hard worker? Then let's go to work and be resilient and see it rebuilt. Go with God. Ask God to help us. Ask God to bring us through. He's the only power that can do it. So why don't we take the time to say, you know what? I realize this thing has been chopped up. I realize that our country is in a mess. I realize that revival is needed. So let me be part of that. Although our ant mound has been beat up and destroyed even, let's go find our grain of sand, my particular grain of sand, my particular grain of red clay, if you will, and go and grab it, take it with me, put it on my back like an ant, do my part to rebuild the mound, So let's do that together. Even though things look terrible, let's do that together. Let's rebuild the mound one grain at a time and be resilient. And it'll happen. Thank you, Jesus. See you guys.